So the Intarsia technique is used in few panels in the blanket. So in the bow one, in the bubbles one. So the bubble is working in Intarsia, and then everything else is cross stitch on top. Obviously in the poinsettia one, and also on the holly. Now on the holly, the Intarsia is used on the leaves, the berries are cross stitch, and it's also used, so you use stranded color work here and then Intarsia here, where you carry the yarns only on the side. So you will have two separate strands of yarn. I'll show you how it looks at the back, you see? So it is only worked at the back. So when we work in Intarsia, so when we are making a motif, we will not cut the yarn on every single row, but instead we will bring it to the beginning. So we will kind of cross it over. So I'm going to show you how to do it on the bow pattern. So if we look at the back of the bow, you see, all the yarn here is crossed over, and then the yarn that is not in use is caught. So nothing, so the color of the motif, the cream in this case, is not cut after every single row. But I'll show you how it's done. So I have worked my beginning of my square for the first 4 rows, and I have stopped on stitch 17. So you see my motifs begin on stitch 18, so I am going to join the cream on stitch 17. So as before, when you've got 2 loops on hook of your new color, grab your contrast or the color of your motif and finish off this stitch in the cream, and make sure you actually enclose the tail. So our next stitch is cream. So into the back loop, work your cream, and then the next 5 stitches are in red. So we're going to strand our cream on the 3rd stitch. So 1, 2, 3, so stranding as before, as for the stranded color work. 4, and stop on the 5th when you've got 2 loops on hook. Finish off with the cream, and then our next stitch is cream. Then the following ones are red. So now I'm going to leave the cream at the back of work and make it stay where it is. I'm not going to take it with me all the way to the end of the work. I'm not going to take this end with me to the end. I'm gonna leave it where it is, because on the next row, when we are back at the beginning, I will just cross it over. Okay, so now all I have to do is just finish the square with the red. Also, all the squares that are marked with eggs, the different color ones, are worked in cross stitch. So this is cross stitch done after your panel is completed. So don't include this into your work. This is done after. So all of this at the moment is red, if you imagine it, those squares to be red. So now we just have to work until the end. And again, into the back loop, everything is done into the back loop, just the first 2 and the last 2 stitches are different. Everything else is back loop. And again, before you reach the end, make sure you trap the end from the previous row, from the end of the previous row. And again, I know it can seem quite daunting to have all these ends, to remember to enclose them, but trust me, it gets very easy, and you just naturally do it. After a few panels, you will be doing them naturally. Finish this off and cut it. Okay, so now you see our cream is attached here. I can cut this end here because this is just the tail. I've enclosed it. And let me cut this one off and this one, just so you can see what I'm doing better. But you see, my cream is attached here. So now again, I'm at the beginning of my work. Let me grab some more tape to mark my rows. So now I am on row number 7. See, so now we will have 2. So I'm going to work now up to the stitch 16, and on a stitch 16 I will change to cream. So let me just start this with my standing crochet. Close the tail, the first stitch is DC. Okay, so now I am at the point where I need to be. So I need to finish off this stitch with cream. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my cream and cross it over at the back of the work and finish off my stitch with the cream, making sure that the cream is not too tight. So don't pull it tight. It needs to be nice, and it needs to lie at the back freely, because if it's too tight it will pack our work. So it needs to be lying nice and loosely. You see, it's just there at the back. It doesn't create any tension. So I'm going to work 2 in cream, 1, oopsie daisy, 2, and then finish off the second stitch with the red. And again, I've got 5 red in the middle before I do the cream again. So I'm going to strand my cream on the 3rd stitch. So 1, 2. Now you don't have to enclose this tail at all. You will strand it with the other one. So in underneath this loop here, and place the cream on top as well. You see, so you've got 2 strands on top. Yarn around and pull it through, and make sure you finish off the stitch. See, so both of those yarns are strapped at the back, not creating big ugly loops. So now we have to do 2 more and change to our cream. Work 2 in cream and change back. And again, we're going to leave the cream here at the back, and we're going to carry to the end of the row with only the red. Cut it off. See? So again, at the back is nice and neat, and our cream is waiting for us here. So let's do another row. So again, let's start here. So we have to stop 2 stitches before our motif begins, which means it's 3 stitches, because we're going to change our color on the 3rd. So we're going to stop here. So we've got 2 stitches left, which needs to be working cream. And again, we're going to grab our cream and cross it over and finish off the stitch with the cream. Make sure that once you pull it through, then position the yarn. Position so it's not nice and position it so it's nice and relaxed at the back, is not pulling tight. And now we can work we've got 4 stitches in cream, which means that we have to strand the red. I will strand it in the middle, so I will strand it on the 3rd stitch, just so we don't have this big loop running through. So we're going to go 1, 2, and when we're going to strand the red, we will also strand the back loop of the cream as well, the one that we crossed over. So insert your hook underneath, into the stitch underneath this cream loop, and also place the red on top. See? Yarn around and pull it through, making sure that none of those strands come with you, just the one you need to. So now we're gonna have to change back to red. And again, we've got 5, which means we are going to strand the red, the cream, the loop, and the working yarn on a 3rd of the stitches. So 1, 2, on a 3rd one, insert your hook into the stitch underneath the loop, place the working yarn on top as well. See, 2 strands on top of your hook, and yarn around and finish off the stitch, making sure that the strands do not come with you. 2 more stitches, and now we change back to cream, and then we can work 2 stitches. Yeah, 2 stitches, you'll be fine. And then we're going to strand our red on the next stitch. See, we don't have to strand the loop anymore because the loop is here. So strand the red, work the next stitch, and change back to red. See, make sure it doesn't pucker up, but it looks very nice and relaxed. And now we're going to leave the cream where it is and finish off with red to the end of the row. Now when you finish, cut off the yarn. You see? And our work is looking like this, and it's looking very nice and neat, and it's also lovely and neat at the back, creating very small loops, which means our fingers or anything cannot get through them, and it won't damage our work. But this is the idea. This is how you work Intarsia. When you have 3 colors, because on the poinsettia you will have on the poinsettia you will have yellow, green, and red. You work in exactly the same. You will keep on stranding those yarn with you, but this time you will have 2, so you will strand the 2 yarns with you all the way. But that's all there is to it. So when you reach this point, you will still cross the yarn over all the way to the beginning. Let me show you when I get to this point here. I will show you how it looks when you're crossing over on a larger amount of stitches. So when you get to the longest part, you see, so our last row, our white yarn finished here. So this is where we have our yarn. So now we have to take it all the way up to here. So I'm ready to actually change now. So I have stopped when I've got my 2 loops on hook. I'm going to simply grab my cream, cross it over. Don't worry about relaxing the yarn yet. Just pull it through. And now as you have pulled it through, now relax this float. So relax the yarn that we have crossed over, so it's not pulling tight. So then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 stitches in cream, and of course while we're doing it, we need to be stranding the cream and the red with us. 1, 2. The cream float. We need to be stranding the cream float and the red yarn. So again, on the 3rd stitch, grab those 2, and then go 1, 2, and again on the 3rd. and then we're gonna go do 2 more. 8, and then change back to red, work 2 in red, we don't need to strand anything here, and then change to cream. Now we can strand the float because we don't want the float to have too much of a gap. So we've got 3 in cream, we don't have to strand the red, but let's strand the float. So 1, 2 and 3, change to red, again strand the float, we've got to change back to cream, and 3 in cream. So 1, 2 and 3, 2 in red, and then 2 cream, and now we've got to work 8 more in cream, stranding our red, because we don't have to strand the cream float because that is already trapped. All we have to do now is work 8 in cream and stranding the red on a third, on third stitches. So 1, 2, place the red, insert, finish off, insert it into the stitch, place it on top and finish off. So strand it as before. 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, change it to red, and leave the cream here and finish off the row in red. Make sure you trap the end of the previous row. Okay, so that's what it looks like. So now we come into this one, and you see our cream yarn is going to cross over of quite a distance, but you work it in exactly the same way. There is nothing different. Just make sure that this flow, that the yarn you cross over, is nice and relaxed. So let me just show you how to do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So make sure you trap this yarn. And now we need to change to cream here because our next stitch is in cream. So again, grab your cream, cross over, pull it through those 2 loops, and then make sure you put it nicely in a position, and make sure it's nicely relaxed at the back and it's not pulling too tight. And again, we're going to be stranding every 3rd stitch the float and the red yarn, or the yarn that of your background. One, 2, and 3. One, 2, and strand it on this one, the float and the yarn. 1 more, and we change to red. And now we have to strand the cream here. You see the cream and the float as well. So So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 stitches, and again we need to strand the working cream and the float attach here. 1, 2, and on a third as before. 3. 1. Oops. 2 and 3. 1, 2, and now, oopsie daisy, so it's 2, and now we change into our cream. And then on this one, let's strand the float. So cream here, and now again we're going to be stranding the red and the float here. Oops. 2 and 3. Don't worry, you don't have to be exact. You can float, you can strand as often as you like. You don't have to be precise every 3 stitches and whatever. If you catch the float a lot more often, it's perfectly fine as well, you know. 1, 2 and 3. Oops. 1, 2, and I think we've got, let's strand the red here, 3, and then work 1 more, change to red, and then work until the end of the row in red, leaving the cream where it is. Let's catch this float here. You see? So that's this row finish. So if we look at the back, let's just cut those ends here. You can see the yarns are nicely trapped, so the float and the yarns we carried are nicely trapped behind. See, you can see here I left the too big a loop, and that's no good because my finger can get in it, and as a blanket, if this gets caught, it can really damage my work. So I will actually, what I will do, I will sew this in a little bit. So I will kind of do a loop of sewing over it, just not to have this big loop. But you can see everywhere here, it's nice and neat, and this is what we want in our Intarsia. So now all you have to do is work to row number 42 and then work your edging. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did like this video, then please do like, share and subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, then please do write them below. Thank you so much.